Hello.
Hello.
We're here, Forward Faith Podcast, episode 3. And we're still very excited, as always.
Actually, not anymore.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I think
We're
I
not.
guess
We're not
I guess
excited
at the
about it
third,
anymore.
that's
No.
kind of when it dies.
It's like
you know?
over, but whatever.
All right. So anyway, today we're going to talk about a very big topic. What is that topic, Julian?
We're gonna talk about worship and what it is and what it means and what it is and what it means.
Thank you for
Yeah,
that
yeah, of
very
course.
in-depth
Mhm.
explanation of our
Mhm.
topic today. So we're gonna talk about worship. We're gonna kind of approach it in a different way. We're gonna talk about like what's in the Bible about it, our personal experience about it, and kind of just like the history behind worship. Kind of just tackle that in a little bit. So to begin, I mean, we could talk about like our personal experience with worship. I mean, for myself, I mean, growing up at the church, and I always viewed worship as music.
Yeah.
That's how it was. I always loved worship. But I actually started playing in a worship team when I was, I think, 11 or 12. I don't remember exactly, but started playing drums. My brother taught me how to play drums, or he taught me one beat. It was one beat. It was like a 5-minute lesson. And I was like, "Oh, that's cool." And then we just never did it again. So I just did it, and then I just learned from there. And yeah, I mean that was my definition and experience, really, because I didn't really view it as anything else but music. And yeah. What about you?
Um. Okay. So when I was like a little kid, we went to a non-denominational church. So it was kind of the same thing where it would be like stand up for worship, and then that was the worship part, and then you would sit down, and then like worship was over.
Yeah.
But then when I was 7, I think we started going to a very like formal liturgical church where like there are candles and people are in
Yeah.
gowns, and,
Yep,
you know.
yep.
And so we didn't really have that as much. So there was no part of the service that was like worship. So I kind of had to like, it was very confusing because people would be like, "Oh, we go to church to worship," but then I like grew up as a little kid learning that worship was music. So I was like, I don't know what's happening. So yeah, you know.
Yeah. I
You
mean, that sounds confusing.
It
Honestly,
was
especially as
confusing.
a child,
Yeah.
when they're like, "Yeah, this is worship," and then like, "No, this is worship,"
Yeah.
and then you're like, "But that's not the same thing."
Yeah.
But I think it's just depends where you go, where it just shows different kinds of way that people worship and that
Right.
different denominations worship. Um, I think in general, at least that I've seen, apart from like that what you mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
it is about music.
Yeah.
It's about, being in an intimate spot and an intimate time with God, and kind of just essentially, I mean, worship music is essentially just singing and speaking truths
Yeah.
about who God is. And a lot of the worship music is like based on the Bible and stuff. In a way, it's like similar where we're talking about God. We're singing about God. We're praising who He is, what He does. And so that is, I think that's the general consensus. But let's actually read a few verses from the Bible to see what the Bible says about worship. And we'll start with Psalms. Psalms. I always used to say that when I was growing up. I used to call it Psalms.
What's that one book in the Bible?
There's a lot of books in the Bible.
What's that? It's like how do you say that?
Oh, the
Habakkuk.
something like that.
I don't know how that's actually pronounced.
I have no idea. If you know how you pronounce it, let us know.
I don't know. Habakkuk.
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 No, there's no way, because there's duck in there. All right, let me read it.
Okay.
Well, let's see. No, I don't know. I'm just not gonna get it. Well, there's no D at the end.
No, it's not Habakkuk.
The Habakkuk. Habakkuk.
Habakkuk. That's how I would say it,
Yeah.
but I don't know if that's right or not.
I think it's how did I say it in Spanish? It's like I think in Spanish it was I forgot. I think it was abacu. I think that's how we said it in
Habakkuk.
Spanish. I think I don't remember. Um, anyway, we'll start in Psalms. I'm so sorry. We're gonna read chapter 150, verse 6, where it says, "Let everything that has breath praise the Lord." All right, it's a simple verse, but it's actually funny that it's actually funny with that verse. I didn't realize it until literally right now. I was watching a video yesterday, I think, and it was somebody they were doing some sort of podcast and some sort of interview, and some guy was talking about that he was like preaching to his dog, like he was like oh, like you're righteous, you're you know, you're special, you know, all these things, and I was so confused because I was like, why would you be preaching to your dog? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But then again, I think, I mean, obviously, because I mean, I assume dogs don't have a conscience like us, because you know. But
Right.
I don't know. Now that I'm reading that, I mean, not saying
Well-
that it's like right or wrong. I don't know,
But
honestly.
do you think animals know who God is? Because
I
like
don't
trees
know.
and stuff, like the Bible talks about how, like even the rocks cry
even
out
the
His
rocks,
name,
yeah,
and like the branches, like
yeah,
so if like rocks and trees
maybe.
know who God is, do you think animals do?
I mean, the only thing that I can think of is like, you know how animals can sense when we're sad, or like there's like
Yeah.
service animals and stuff like that. That
Mhm.
dogs can be trained to help a certain thing, and that like, you know, service animals. But I don't know. I mean, I feel like
I don't know. Do you want to know something? This is
What?
kind of off topic, but
it's fine.
something that I totally believe 100%.
Okay.
Don't. Okay, let me explain myself first.
Okay.
So don't judge me.
I'm not. I'm not. gonna
I
judge you.
think that we were meant, like in the Garden of Eden, to talk to animals, and like animals could talk to us. Because hear
Whoa.
me out,
Okay.
okay? Don't think
Okay.
that I'm like crazy.
I'm not
Because
saying that.
because every time something supernatural would appear to someone in the Bible, it always said that they were scared, right? Like when the angel appeared to Mary, she was scared, and he was like, "Do not
Yep.
be afraid." And then like other times,
Yeah. There's
you know,
multiple times in the Bible where it says,
but when the serpent appeared to Eve, she wasn't
Oh,
nothing.
yeah.
They just had a conversation. He was like, "Hey, you should eat that," and she's like, "No," and he was like, "Yeah," and she's like,
Eat
"All
that.
right," you know. Like, so
Yo, I didn't even think about
and
that.
Adam named all of the animals, and
Yeah.
they just like lived together.
What if they all chose their name? They're like, man, just call me a lion, bro. just call me.
Yeah,
That's interesting. I never thought about that.
So I
honestly.
totally believe that, and I think in heaven we'll be able to talk to animals too.
Is there gonna be animals in heaven?
I think so.
Well, maybe I guess because you know, animals were offered as an offering in the Old
Yeah,
Testament.
I think so.
Wow. Okay, I think that's a good topic we can get into at another time.
Yeah, no, I just
'Cause that is interesting.
I believe that 100%.
I'm gonna think about that because I've never even thought about
Yeah.
something like that. But that is a very interesting observation.
I'm just like really smart, so you know.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So do you want to read the next one?
Yeah, what is it?
It is Hebrews
Hebrews.
12:28.
Sorry, I saw a joke once about coffee and like Hebrews, and it was really funny.
Oh,
Anyways,
'cause
I'm so sorry.
Hebrew-
I just don't remember the joke, but it was really funny.
It was something about Hebrews.
No, because that's what I
coffee.
just said.
Yeah, that's what the joke is, right?
Right.
All right.
Anyways,
Go ahead.
Okay,
Hebrews 12:28.
Hebrews 12:28. Therefore, let us be grateful for receiving a kingdom that cannot be shaken, and thus let us offer to God acceptable worship with reverence and awe.
That's good.
That's that verse. That's what it is.
Can you read it one more time?
Of course. Sorry. Therefore, let us be grateful for receiving a kingdom that cannot be shaken, and thus let us offer to God acceptable worship with reverence and awe. Ooh.
That's interesting.
Ooh.
See, now I'm thinking, what is what is acceptable worship?
Mm.
Because I mean, that's it says right there, like we offer it to God
I think
acceptable worship. You know.
yes. I think oftentimes we as humans like to make worship about us and about like
Yep.
the feeling we get when we feel the spirit or when we're worshiping and we're like, oh, and if we don't feel that, it wasn't good worship that day. Um, or if we didn't know the words to the songs or we didn't like
Yeah.
the songs or
Yeah.
we don't like the voice of the worship leader or, whatever.
Whatever.
We don't like it, we say we didn't like worship that day. But it's not about us. So I think when we worship because we want to feel something, I don't think that's acceptable worship.
Mm.
I just don't think that, because the whole point of worshiping is to acknowledge the goodness of God and how he is sovereign and he is holy and he is worthy of our worship, not because we think we want to feel all like warm and
Fuzzy.
yeah. Yeah.
That brings up a great point actually. Yeah, because I've known way too many people who are like, you know, and props. 100% agree. Worship has to be excellent,
Yes.
like in an excellent form. I agree. But at the same time, if it's focused around lights, focused around like fog machines, focused around like creating an atmosphere that's just like when it's like a show and stuff, like that to me is just like, dude, that's not excellence. That's just a
No.
show.
The whole point, especially when you're leading worship, the whole point is to use what the talents that God's given you to help. You said this once. I think it's like you said it was like a
Said it was like a to use.
like I don't know.
I'm trying to think of what I said.
I don't remember what you said. I remember you saying something, but I don't remember what you said. So,
well, I mean, yeah, the talents that we have as humans, they were given to us by God, and obviously, it's not just about worship. There's obviously other gifts and other talents and stuff like that. But if we're talking specifically about like musicians and worship, like God gave us those talents.
Yeah.
And I think it's more than fair for us to worship him because he gave those to us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I don't like if you're going on stage because you want people to know that you're good instead of wanting people to know that God is good, that's a problem.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's a mentality to have, definitely.
Yeah.
Because, like you said earlier, and like worship is not about us. It's not about what. It's not like the worship team did the worship for us.
Yeah.
And we can be like, well, the drummer wasn't that good, or it was too loud, or whatever.
Well, and then that creates another issue, which is judging people, which we're also not allowed to do. So that's just a bunch of little issues in one.
Oh yeah, yeah. And being real, I'm at fault of that. I've said that multiple times.
Me, 100%.
I was like, oh yeah, the worship wasn't very good.
Yeah.
Or like they weren't very good, but I lose the focus of what it actually it is about. And yeah. All right, so you got one more.
I don't know.
Revelation.
Revelation.
4:11. Revelation 4:11. It says, "Worthy are you, our Lord and God, to receive glory and honor and power, for you created all things, and by your will they existed and were created." I mean, reading that, I can think of the song "Worthy of It All," which I think we're gonna get into that. I mean, because it I think like worshiping God, like he is worthy.
Yeah.
And it's, I don't know how to explain, because you know, so the song "Worthy of It All," right? It says, "You're worthy of it all. You're worthy of it all. For from you all are things, and to you all are things. You deserve the glory."
Mm.
Right. So like if we go into that chorus, there, for from you, for from God, are things, are
Yeah.
all things. Sorry, are all things,
Yeah.
and to you, to God,
Are all things.
are all things. You deserve the glory.
Because I've always thought about this. Like, if your friend took a bullet for you,
Mm-hmm.
right? Wouldn't you want to give them something back?
Yeah.
You know? Like, what? Like, why would you be like, thanks.
All right.
Anyways, you know, like,
Anyway,
and then
let's
move
just
on with your life and
Yeah.
forget about it. Like, that, you would never, anyone in their right mind would never do that.
Mhm.
Jesus, his whole point of existence was to die for you. So he is worthy of everything because he gave us he gave up everything for us, so we should give up everything for him.
That's pretty good. I didn't think about that. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, he's worthy because he is, you know.
He is. Yeah,
He
I
is,
agree.
like, I don't know. There's not much more to say. Like, he is.
Hmm.
And I think he's proven himself
I think he's
time
good.
and time again.
From the beginning.
From the, like, literally
Honestly,
from the beginning.
Literally from the beginning.
Like, I realized, sorry, I just like didn't speak English right just now. But you and I talked about this the other day, because I like randomly thought about this. But like Adam and Eve were the first people, right? And they messed up within like seconds of being alive. And God could have just been like, I'll just restart.
Yeah, that's
you
what I
know,
was
like
gonna
he
say.
could just
I'll
be
just
like, I'll
restart.
just make
Yeah.
2 new people and it doesn't matter. But he loved them so much that he said, okay, let's make this work. Like, let's think of a solution and make this work because you're my children and I love you.
Mhm.
And I think that's the even that is just like, you're worthy because you could have said,
just
you
restarted?
literally could have just killed them
Yeah.
and made new people, but he didn't because he loved them so much. And I think he does things like that for us all the
Oh
time.
yeah. I don't think we realize a lot of them or
No.
recognize a lot of them. But yeah, not when you were mentioning Adam and Eve, what came to me, I didn't think about that. How about the fact that he could have just been like, you know what?
Yeah.
They messed up. Let me just try again. Let me just do two more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, now talking about Genesis,
Mm-hmm.
beginning of the Bible, beginning of
Beginning.
everything.
In the
right?
beginning. Sorry.
In the
In the beginning was the, oh wait, that's John.
Repeat it. Oh.
In the beginning was the word. No, but it says, oh, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. Whoa.
Anyway, so when we go to the Bible, I don't know why I put it down, but I'm gonna pick it up again. When we go to the Bible and we read and find the first time that the word worship was mentioned
Mm-hmm.
was in Genesis 22nd.
Okay.
And I'll read the first part of it. So Genesis 22nd, if you guys haven't heard, it's the story of Abraham and Isaac. And that's a
It's
classic story.
Good story.
It's a classic story. God is like, hey, yo, man, go offer your son. You're gonna kill your son. Yeah.
bad.
You're gonna
Sorry.
kill your son. And then he's like, all right, well, I guess we're doing this, right?
Mm.
And then at the last moment, an angel came down and was like, whoa, nope.
Whoa.
And there's a lot of things to learn from that chapter. There's like, obedience to God, the trust in God, and like how Abraham trusted him so much that he was willing to do it
Yeah.
because he knew that God was going to work it out for the best,
Yeah.
which was amazing.
That's crazy.
If I had
That's
a child, that
crazy.
would be, I cannot do that. it's actually interesting because we talked about it, and we actually just read chapter 22nd
Mm-hmm.
in on Sunday Bible study
Oh, okay.
or Sunday Bible school or church. Yeah,
Sundays.
Sunday school.
Sunday school.
Sunday school. Yeah,
Although
I mean that's like for
that's like
children. But anyway,
Anyways.
we actually just because we're reading through Genesis and we just read through chapter 22nd this last week, and one of the things that we learned and talked about was like the comparison of Abraham almost killing his son. Like it was everything that he loved,
Mhm.
because he had other sons, but those were like not his favorite one, not his good ones.
Yeah.
But he was gonna kill this son, like he was willing, and even in the chapter, in chapter 22nd, and which I'll read in a second, when God told him like this is what you're gonna do, the next day when he went to go do it, he woke up early and prepared.
Mhm.
And we actually talked about this on Sunday when if God told me I was going to kill my son, I would try to postpone that as much as I could.
You just woke up the next morning and was like,
Yeah, he's like, all right, I'm going to wake up
Let's
early.
get it.
I'm going to get the donkey ready. I'm going to get everything ready. Like, that's trust, man. That's
crazy.
dedication right there. And so, but we're going to focus on a special part of this chapter. We're only going to read up to verse 6. So, after these things, God tested Abraham and said to him, Abraham. And he said, Here I am. He said, Take your son, your only son, Isaac, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah, and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains, of which I shall tell you. So Abraham rose early in the morning, saddled his donkey, and took 2 of his young men with him, and his son Isaac. And he cut the wood for the burnt offering, and arose and went to the place of which God had told him. And on the 3rd day, Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the place from afar. Then Abraham said to his young men, Stay here with the donkey. I and the boy will go over there and worship, and come again to you. So, when I first read this, it was, you would always skip over that, worship part.
Mm-hmm.
But because it's the first time mentioned in the Bible, there's nothing mentioning about music. There's nothing mentioning about like people singing. There's nothing, it's just Abraham is acting out of obedience and saying, me and Isaac are going to go worship and come back.
Yeah.
So it's like, yes, worship that we do now is we're singing and all these things. But in Genesis, when it was first mentioned, it was about obedience and trust.
Yeah. Well, I think, and worship with music is very easy because it's so accessible to us. But that's not, the definition of worship is not music. And it's about where your heart is. And it's like, well, worship means praising God because he's good, right?
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't have to be singing songs about how good God is. It could be anything. You can praise God at doing anything, anywhere, as long as you are worshiping and praising him, Yeah. Because I doubt they had, when Isaac and Abraham went to go worship God on a little mountain.
They got a little band together.
Yeah, I don't think they had a little band, and
they're like, this is amazing, great.
Yeah, that would be so funny.
That'd be hilarious. That would be so
funny.
Now that I think about it.
But they didn't.
They didn't have a band.
Who knows what they did? Maybe they prayed together. Maybe they just talked to God, thanking him for his goodness. But but it didn't mention anything about singing or playing instruments or whatever. And I think that's a very important part of worship. And music is a gift that God has given us to use for him.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not the only way we can worship.
Yeah, I agree. And I know. I mean, I know I've said it when I've led worship. I know I've heard it a million times from other people as well. But we're always saying like, think about the words that you're singing.
Hmm.
Think about what you're saying to God, what you're singing,
Yeah.
and the power of your mouth and all these things. But it's like it's generally that's what it is,
Yeah.
because when we sing and we talk about how God is, one, that's a privilege,
Yeah.
because not a lot of countries can do that. Not a lot of countries can do that publicly. Publicly.
Publicly.
And they have to
Sorry.
like do it somewhere else where
Hmm.
they won't be seen. That's a privilege. And then two, when we're singing about God, like that's also that's also something that is true, and that is something that we shouldn't take lightly either, because yes, yes, singing and music and everything is worship to God, but also at the same time, if we follow that worship song, if we follow what that worship song is saying, or we follow what we're singing, that's where the true worship comes in.
Right.
Because if I mean, like you said, that's the easy part. If we're
Right.
singing just to sing, then that's easy. Like we're just saying words, meeting our worship quota
Yeah.
of the week, and then just like going home and being somebody completely different.
I know. Well, there's a verse in Psalm 19:14 that says, "Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, my rock and my redeemer." You mentioned that. You were talking about that. And I just was thinking that it is very important what we say, and how when we worship, it is like, with our, it can be with, being like, oh God, like thank you for this, and like worshiping with song, or
Hmm.
just with praise and prayer. But it could also just be like, where's your heart? Like,
Yeah.
um you could just kind of like sit there and be meditating on, we can meditate on anything, whatever
Hmm.
you're thinking about, or you're, you know meditating on. But you know we need to be in a constant, I think we should be in a constant state of worship, because God deserves it, and also it just makes us happier.
Yeah.
um and so we don't do that by like walking around. I mean, you could just walk around and never stop singing worship songs. That would be kind of crazy, but you could.
You could. I mean, that was
But
gonna
I
stop
think
you.
we need to, it's important to have Jesus always kind of in the back of your mind, or,
Yeah.
you know, you
Yeah.
know?
And I mean, and actually, this last Wednesday that we had youth night, I mentioned that like one of the things that I do before work and after work is to listen to worship music,
Mm-hmm.
and that to me personally, it's especially before work, especially before work, or like it was just been a hard week or
Mm-hmm.
something. Like something about worship music, and actually either if I sing it or don't sing it, something about worship music is just brings peace to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that has to do with because of what I'm listening is reminded me of who God is
Yeah.
and what He can do. And also something that I mentioned a couple episodes ago, part of my journey um, was when, because I lived in California most of my life, and I moved here in 2020, like right before when COVID started, after
Yeah.
COVID started technically. And so when I first got to Real Life Foursquare Church, when we were up in Salmon Creek, I I felt like, because my entire life, most of my life, I had been involved in worship. Always played Wednesdays, Sundays, youth night, everything.
Mm-hmm.
And um and when I was in college in like 2016, 2017, I played at another church while I was in college. And that was a huge part of my life, because that was something that I did on a regular basis and but I never really thought deep about it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so when I moved here from California, I felt like God wanted me to take a sort of break from worship and from everything that I was involved with, but worship was one of those things. And being able to not do worship, like being in a worship team and actually being in the audience standing with the
Mhm.
church worshiping is an experience that I hadn't felt in a long
Yeah.
time. Because I it always felt like it was my responsibility to do worship because God gave me this gift and
Mhm.
this is what I wanted to do and this is what I needed to do to honor him. But also actually standing in the audience and it was like a good year actually standing in the audience and like absorbing and worshiping God was like something that completely
Yeah.
changed my perspective of like not that I thought my value was in worship, but that was a lot of my identity at the
Mm.
time. And so that whole break and that whole time that I took off from that, I got closer to God in the sense of like, oh, like okay, like I'm worth more than just
Yeah.
the talents that you've given me. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so that to me that was like a really cool experience that I had. Um, yeah.
I think that's someone, not someone. Sorry. Sorry. I think that's something like I really like when churches do um rotations in
Hmm.
like worship teams and worship leaders cuz I think everybody needs to regularly experience worship in with the church
Yeah.
as the congregation and not leading the
Hmm.
um leading it cuz you can still you should still worship and praise God when you're leading
Oh
worship,
yeah, absolutely.
but it's a totally different experience.
Agreed.
Um and I think it's really important to be among other Christians and worship with them um rather than leading it. And I think both are important, but I think there needs to be a good balance of it cuz both are needed
Yeah.
for the people that lead, you know?
Oh, I agree. I definitely do think I need to do better at that.
Yeah, cuz
I
you
play a lot,
well, I think you do almost
almost
every
every
week
Sunday. I think.
cuz you do the
Well,
drums most of the time
yeah,
and
and
then
then
you do it you lead
yeah.
once a month.
Well, I think it's gonna be twice a month now for now. But I know I personally need to do a
Yeah.
better job at that. Um, but yeah, I do agree with you. There needs to be some sort of balance where it's like you need to be because, like, for example, I see. I think I remember what you mentioned earlier because the way that I see worship is the worship team is um I'm not gonna say necessarily connects the congregation to
Yes,
God.
that's what you
Yeah,
said that I was thinking.
I not necessarily connects it, but we're the vessels that make that
Yeah.
happen. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Not saying that people can't worship by themselves or that people can't do that, but when you get a group of musicians and a group of people who want to sing their heart out and play their heart out, and you get a congregation that is willing to worship,
Mm.
it's that like it's that like trifecta that
Yeah.
yeah, we're like that vessel
Well,
to
cuz
the
the
worship.
spirit, like, you know,
Yeah, and
for
I mean
real.
also in also when you're a worship leader, you have to be open to the Holy Spirit
Yeah.
to just be like, just change this or
Yeah.
just do this or whatever. And I mean, me as a worship leader, I try to do that as much as I can.
Yeah, well, I think what I've learned from you is to kind of like cuz Felipe was the youth worship director before he took the um youth director
Director.
position and now I'm the anyways. But so he like has taught me stuff. And something I learned from you was like to not you need to have a map a little bit so that like, you don't lose each other,
Hmm.
but to just not really plan how many times you're going to do something or like you have to have like a kind of an idea, but not to be like we have to do it
Yeah.
this many times. We have to go here to here. We kind of just we sing it through, and then we're like, whatever happens, happens. And I really admire that because, you know, I think a lot of people plan it, or they plan like they're like, oh, we should do it this many times so that the Spirit can have time to, you know, like they plan it that way, and then it's like, well, you can't tell the Spirit what to do, you know, like that's not how it works. And and then if you're in charge too much, then it doesn't give room for the Spirit to do what it needs to do. So I think it's really important to just kind of be like, we're gonna sing this, and then see what happens. I guess, you know.
That's how me personally, that's how I think worship should be.
I agree.
Because, and you know, there's nothing against having like a time and anything like that, but like when you try to control, I think the correct word is when you try to control worship, that's like, because worship is not about you, and it's not for, you know, it's not about you,
right?
So when you try to control worship as much as you can, that's when it's wrong.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like how you said, we have to do this many times, or like, nothing against people who use tracks, but I personally don't like tracks because it keeps you in time with the metronome and all these things. But at the same time, if you feel like you want to do it again, you got to stop the track, and then you get off time. But with tracks, you know, nothing against people that use tracks. But but when you try to control worship too much, that's when it becomes an issue.
Because really it is just about God. And it's really just saying, like, God, you're holy and you're sovereign and you're perfect. And I love the song Pure by Upper Room and Abby Gamboa, I think is how you say her name. Shout out. But it talks about I forgot.
I don't know what song that is.
I literally forgot how it goes.
It's called Pure?
Yeah, hold on.
Okay.
I'm getting like another song in my head that's not the same song, and it's so annoying.
This is what happens in real life.
Wait, hold on. I have to sing it.
Okay. Sing it.
I will have to. Okay. It goes, not for anything that I could gain, just to honor you and bring you praise. Like a fragrance broken on the floor, may my worship be pure. So it's not, you know, I really like the beginning where it says, like, it's not, like, it's not about, like, I'm not singing so I can gain something from it. I'm not worshiping God so that he can give me something. I'm worshiping him because he's good and he deserves it, you know? Just to honor him. And it really is pure. Like, it doesn't have to be like, oh, we have to get everything right. Everything has to be perfect. And it doesn't have to be confusing or whatever. It's just honoring God and giving him back what he deserves.
I agree.
So, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what we got about worship.
That's what we got.
And if you guys have any questions, have any concerns for a reason, you know.
For any
reason.
Any reason if you
you could ask us questions in the comments or in person.
Or go to our Instagram and you can DM us too.
Yeah, that too. You can DM us and stuff. And so now we're going to move on to
our little... What
to our little thing. So we're going to play Two Truths and a Lie. So, okay.
Okay, you go first.
Okay, I go first. So, okay. 2 truths and a lie. I pick up my leg. Anyway, all right. First, I was born with jaundice.
What is that?
Oh, dude, I've always said it the non-formal way, and then people are like, "Oh, it's jaundice." So I just switched to jaundice. Okay, jaundice is pretty much you're born with yellow skin.
Oh, okay.
And it's just like underdeveloped. Yeah.
Okay.
I was born with jaundice. 2, I have chickens at the house. and 3, I played soccer in high school. So which one is my lie, Julianne?
I'm gonna.
By the way, this is really hard because we talk a lot.
Yeah, it took so
It's so
long
hard.
for us to think of stuff because we know each other too well.
I know. Anyway.
But I think it's the third one that you played soccer in high school. I was right.
Yeah, you were right.
Because you played basketball in high school, right?
I did,
Okay.
but I did play soccer, but I was younger.
Oh,
I
okay,
stopped
okay, okay.
playing when I was, I think, like,
Okay.
how old was I? Maybe like 12 or 13?
I hate soccer. Fun fact. No offense to people that play soccer or like it. It's fine. I get it, but I think it's boring. But I'd rather watch soccer than baseball. Also, no offense to people that like baseball. But it's
yeah.
I understand why it would be fun to play,
I don't understand why it'd be fun to play.
but watching it is so boring.
yeah, it being at an actual game is actually more boring than watching it on the TV.
I agree, which is so weird.
Yeah, again, no offense, America. Baseball is America's sport.
Yeah, if you like
No
baseball,
disrespect.
it's fine. I'm not going to hate you for liking baseball. I just don't agree with your decisions. So, okay, my
Okay,
turn.
yours.
Number 1. I did ballet for 5 years.
Okay.
Number 2, I hate clams.
Okay.
And number 3, I've been to Disneyland 4 times.
I think, I hope I get this right. I think it's the third one.
It is. I've been to
Yes.
Disneyland 3 times.
Oh my god! I thought you just went once.
No, we've been 3 times.
Okay. Yeah.
I should start saying twice. Because I always
should.
use this one. Because
Oh, you
4,
do?
yeah.
Okay,
Because
like
4 times is like not, like no one's been to Disneyland 4 times. But 2 times is more believable, but we've been 3 times. So I'm going to start saying 2 times.
You should say 2 times.
But technically, I have been 2 times.
Oh
Plus
yeah,
one,
that's true.
you know?
technically You have, so I guess you could.
So I
you
have to
use
do
4
4.
times.
Dang it, why have we gone so much?
I've only gone. Whoa. Once?
Oh, I've been to Canada twice. I should start saying that.
You should start. You've been to Canada? I
Twice.
want to go to Canada.
You've never been to Canada? Well, we were
No.
going to go to Canada.
Yeah. Actually, you know,
We could
Shout
go.
out-
We could just drive, like on a
Shout-
weekend.
I'm so down.
I would do it. Okay, we're going to actually, it's time to go. We're going to go to Canada right
yeah,
now.
we're gonna actually go
So,
to Canada right after this.
Yeah. Are we going to say?
I'm so down.
No,
Oh,
I'm serious. I would do it.
I am serious too.
Okay.
I was gonna say apologizing to all the seniors
All of
that
the
we
seniors.
didn't end up going to Canada. Maddie,
Emma
Owen, Emma, and you.
and me.
Yeah.
And technically Eli and Clark were going to go.
Oh
too,
yeah,
but they're
Elaine
not
and Clark
seniors,
were gonna
so
go. But
it doesn't count.
anyway, all right. Well, that's today's episode. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, if you have any questions, concerns, leave a comment down below or talk to us or DM us on our Instagram.
Yeah.
And
Do
we
we
will
have our?
see you.
Have we told them about what?
What?
Have we told them what our Instagram is?
No, I don't think we.
Can David put it up on the screen? David,
Yeah,
can
he
you do
can
that?
put it up in the screen
David can do that.
right here.
He'll
Somewhere
do it.
right.
He'll do it.
He'll do it. He's
He'll
a
do it.
pro.
Why does this keep falling?
Anyway,
Anyways,
have a great day, everyone.
Have a
I'll
good
see you guys next time.
bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.